In 2011, Walmart paid $2.40 billion to buy a majority stake in Massmart, a retail giant with over 300 stores across 12 African countries. Their goal was simple: use South Africa as a launchpad to dominate the entire African continent. That sounds completely achievable, right? Fast forward just a decade, and Walmart was burning through hundreds of millions of dollars in losses, closing stores across East and West Africa, and eventually pulling the plug by delisting Massmart from the stock exchange in 2022 to quietly absorb the fallout. How could the world's largest retailer, a $600 billion empire that mastered low-cost shopping across North America, Latin America, and Asia, fail so dramatically in Africa? To understand what went wrong, you first need to understand how Walmart's business model actually works. The entire Walmart empire is built around a single, relentless promise: everyday low prices. The strategy usually looks like this: Walmart enters a market, uses its massive financial footprint to build hyper-efficient supply chains, buys inventory in bulk at prices no competitor can match, and undercuts local stores. Customers flock to Walmart for cheap goods, smaller rivals get squeezed out, and Walmart wins through pure scale. It sounds simple, and in places like Mexico or Canada, it worked brilliantly. But when Walmart set its sights on Africa in the early 2010s, they weren't walking into an open market waiting to be conquered.
They were stepping into one of the most unique and brutal retail environments on Earth. To get its foot in the door, Walmart bought a 51% controlling stake in Massmart, a South African retail group that owned well-known brands like Timesgame, Makro, and Times Builders Warehouse. On paper, this was a brilliant shortcut. Massmart already had distribution networks, brand recognition, and hundreds of real estate locations across South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. However, just buying the stores didn't mean consumers were going to switch to Walmart overnight. Unlike in the US, where Walmart could easily push out local mom-and-pop shops, South Africa was already dominated by deeply entrenched, highly sophisticated retail heavyweights, most notably Shoprite, Pick n Pay, and Woolworths. Shoprite, in particular, was the absolute king of low-cost retail in Africa. For decades, Shoprite had built specialized supply chain routes into rural areas and townships, negotiated local farmer contracts, and understood the exact purchasing habits of price-sensitive African shoppers. Walmart came in expecting to compete on price, but Shoprite was already running at ultra-thin margins, selling fresh food and daily staples at prices Walmart couldn't beat. Even before Walmart opened its first renovated store, the acquisition hit a massive roadblock. South African trade unions, led by Sakawu, along with government ministers, viewed Walmart's arrival with intense suspicion. They feared that Walmart would replace locally manufactured South African goods with cheap foreign imports, destroying tens of thousands of local manufacturing jobs. The South African Competition Tribunal tied up the acquisition in regulatory appeals for over a year. When approval was finally granted, it came with heavy conditions. Walmart was legally barred from laying off any workers for 2 years. They were forced to honor existing collective bargaining agreements. They had to establish a massive $13 million fund specifically to develop local South African suppliers. From day one, Walmart's ability to aggressively streamline labor and supply chains, the exact levers they usually pull to cut costs, was completely handcuffed by local laws and union pressure. As the years went on, Walmart's structural problems in Africa only got worse. A core part of Massmart's business was the game store chain, which focused heavily on general merchandise: televisions, home appliances, camping gear, and clothing. In America, general merchandise carries high profit margins that offset low margins on food. But in Africa, macroeconomic conditions began to deteriorate in the mid-2010s. Inflation spiked, unemployment soared, and household purchasing power plummeted. African consumers stopped buying non-essential items like flat-screen TVs or blender sets. They were spending nearly all their disposable income on basic groceries, bread, meat, and maize meal. While competitors like Shoprite flourished by doubling down on fresh food and discount groceries, Walmart Times Game Time stores were left sitting on millions of dollars of unsold electronics and hard goods in giant, expensive-to-run footprint stores. When Walmart tried to expand beyond South Africa into fast-growing economies like Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya, they ran headfirst into logistical reality. In the US, Walmart relies on interstate highways and automated regional distribution centers. In sub-Saharan Africa, cross-border logistics can be a nightmare. Goods would sit trapped at ports for weeks due to bureaucratic delays and customs tariffs. Unreliable electrical grids forced stores to run massive diesel generators just to keep lights and refrigeration running. On top of that, currency volatility devastated their bottom line. Local currencies like the Nigerian naira and Ghanaian cedi suffered steep devaluations, making imported stock drastically more expensive while cutting into reported earnings. Then came the final breaking points. 2021. Strict lockdowns in South Africa, including total bans on liquor sales, wiped out hundreds of millions in revenue for Massmart's Times, Makro Times, and wholesale divisions. 2. The July 2021 civil unrest, Widespread riots in South Africa saw 43 Massmart stores and distribution centers looted and destroyed, resulting in over $170 million in lost sales and property damage in a matter of days. By 2021, Massmart was losing over $100 million a year. Walmart realized that pure scale was not going to fix a strategy that was fundamentally ill-suited for the market. They began shutting down or selling off dozens of loss-making game times, stores across West and East. Africa effectively exiting markets like Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Uganda. Finally, in late 2022, Walmart spent over $380 million to buy out the remaining 49% of minority shareholders in Massmart, officially delisting the company from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. After 11 years and billions of dollars in losses, Walmart threw in the towel on its public African expansion, taking the business private just to clean up the financial damage away from Wall Street's eyes. Walmart went into Africa assuming that what worked in Bentonville, Arkansas would work in Johannesburg and Lagos. But a failure to understand local consumer habits, stubborn supply chain realities, and dominant local rivals turned a $2.4 billion dream into a cautionary business case study. However, Walmart isn't the only American titan to completely misjudge an overseas market. Target did the exact same thing when they tried to expand into Canada.
Target failed and lost,
losing $2 billion in less than 2 years in what many call the worst retail disaster in Canadian history. Click here to find out why Target failed so spectacularly just across the border.